Day. But the other aspect of welfare and freebie. So if somebody promises free bijli to all households ahead of elections, is that welfare or is that freebie? If you decide that you are going to give the economically weaker section and children at 10th standard and 12th standard laptops so that they can study as they get power, along with free bijli, is that welfare or is that freebies? Dr. Shashi Panja, where do you stand on this?
No, see.
Yeah. The difference is this, that when the did you ask me? Sorry.
Yes, Dr. Shashi Panja. Aprajita ji has yielded. I'll come back to you, Aprajita ji.
A very subtle difference between the two, between freebie and welfare, in the context of what you said last, Sanket ji.
Anand here.
When before elections you promise something, you win the elections, and after that the welfare measure is gone. So obviously that is defined as a freebie, something which happened in the UP elections. So that would be not a social welfare measure. That was a freebie for garnering votes. But I would never denigrate or this word, and never kind of humiliate this word. It has somehow come into common usage that when you give something which is free. Now the point is that when we talk about poor people, when we are talking about underprivileged, when we are giving them this kind of a measure, this kind of a benefit, then some parties are defining it as freebies. But when you are giving a similar kind of a waiver, maybe it's a tax waiver, maybe it is a loan waiver to that many NPAs which were non-performing assets, you are waiving off about 9.91 lakh or maybe even more, lakh crores. So then that becomes a what is it? It's a stimulus package. It is an incentive. When you are writing off these lakh crores of NPAs, then it is as if it is building the country. But when you talk about a freebie, it is as if you are humiliating the person to whom that benefit is being extended. And that's why we want to do away with this. I most agree with Suhail Seth ji, and that is when he said that the parliament is there and you should raise these issues and talk about these issues in parliament and protest in parliament, and agree with you totally. But that is if the parliament does not, it was cut short for the 7th consecutive time. The parliament session, this time the monsoon session, was cut down by say 3-4 days. Even when you allow a parliament to function, yes, we would have spoken about price rise, soaring inflation, whatever unemployment, which you see slightly is better, Sanket ji. But this is a record. It will stay with this government. That is the highest in 45 years since independence, when we celebrate 75th year. What we are basically saying, it's across all states. It's from say 0.1% to say about 2.7% of the GDP. All states are extending these social welfare measures or freebies, whichever way you define.
But that's
it is true that a coinage of a word, labharti. You see, those who coined the word labhartis are now speaking against.
No, but labharti is a beneficiary. That's why I'm trying to say. And Dr. Shashi Panja, this is Anand Narasimhan here. Sanket is a good friend, but Sanket is a good friend. But I am Anand Narasimhan. So
I'm so sorry.
No, not at all.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, not at all. That's okay. But point is that Aprajita ji, now let's try and get into this before I bring in Ratan Sharda ji. He's been listening carefully. What constitutes a freebie and what is comes under the ambit of social welfare or state welfare? Where do you draw the line? So if an Arvind Kejriwal or a Mamata Banerjee announces that 300 units of bijli free, is that freebie? But if the government if the government turns around and says that no, we will put 2,000 rupees into the account of every kisan so that he can buy seeds, is that a freebie or is that welfare? Now, how do I draw the line and difference? How do I define it?
See, before election, maybe a couple of months or a year before election, if the loan is waived, if money is given into the account of the people, and across the board, not the vulnerable section, across the board, I'm sure I'll call it a freebie. It's basically to garner votes. If you give just free electricity to all, free education to all, free water to all, I'm sure these are all freebies, but when we are talking of welfare measures, this must be done for those segments of population which actually need. When we are talking of widow, when we are talking of aged people, when we are talking of differently abled people, if we are advancing certain kind of benefits in a certain situation to a certain segment of population because of certain reasons, I think these are all welfare measures, and we must have, because ultimately that's the backbone of our country, welfareism. We focus a lot on, the welfare of people, and we have to do that. States all across should be doing this, should be doing that, and the government of India also does it. So, as far as the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana is concerned, we are giving 6,000 rupees in 3 installments, 2,000 rupees per installment in a year to a farmer, to its account. Now, it is basically a facilitating measure to ensure that he gets the best kind of seeds. So
but are you deciding which farmer it is?
So that is definitely
are you deciding which farmer it is? Because there are farmers who have 200 acres of land, there are farmers who have 20 acres of land, and there are farmers who don't even have 2 acres of land. So how are you deciding which farmer is it? Does a farm, or are you giving it to all farmers?
No, see, there is a method of registration. There is a method of registration. There are certain conditions. It's not that it is given across. The states have to recommend on the basis of certain conditions. There is a particular format for that. The formats are filled, recommended by the state government, only then the center releases to the account of the farmers. So there are eligibility conditions, we can't say no to that. So if very vulnerable segment of population is assisted,
so you are trying to help the Chota Kisan, say somewhere small and semi-medium Kisan is who you are trying to help. Sohail Seth has an objection, Dr. Shashi Panja has a comment to make. So Dr. Shashi Panja and then Sohail Seth. Ratan Sharda ji, then I'll come to you. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. In fact, I partly agree with Aparajita ji, because this is precisely also some of the welfare measures that we undertake in our state. But unfortunately, politically we are criticized. But what Ms. Savangi is saying is also something which we even do in our state. But then, something like Ujjwala Yojana is such a scheme in which about 4.13 crore beneficiaries could not even do a refill. So there are certain policies or certain schemes which have been, you see, a failed demonetization. Something like a poor implementation of GST. So India will flourish if the states prosper. Allow the states to prosper, but you are denying what the states get. It's all interlinked.
Yeah, it's